After the party is the after party. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Ray. With me, as always, we have the lovely Material Life. What up, B?
What's good?
Material Life is excited about because this is kind of like right up her alley a bit. So, this video is labeled "A Divorce Attorney's Thoughts on Love and Marriage" to James Sexton. Now, I don't know how much we're gonna get through this because it's an hour video, but I watched a little bit of it, and it had me captivated. So I know I showed it to B. She was like, "Oh, she was really excited." So what are you expecting out of this video, B?
I just want to get a lawyer's perspective about the whole situation, especially since he deals with it so common since it's family law. So that's something he always sees. So I want to get his like aspect or like what does he think?
Yeah, my thing is just like um how do they feel usually when they're going through this and they see so many divorces happen. I always wonder how the people like doing the divorce feels. It's like if they're either doing it for the money, or do they really like feel sad that they have to like initiate some of these divorces. So this, I think this, that's what I gotta find interesting about this video. So
You know, I tell you, I live in the land of delusion. So it's good to see someone who's not functioning in the land of delusion give us some facts.
the letter delusion. Okay. Um. Well, there you have it. So without further ado, let me go ahead and get this started. Uh, Let me know if you can hear B. So, um, if not, I have to start over. So let's get to the video.
I had a period of time after my divorce where I was
I can hear it.
really ambitious when it came to women, but then it felt like a job. Like it felt like a job after a while, where I was like, God, it's like enough. It's kind of enough, Like it's like when you've eaten so much that you just go like, ugh. I got that way with pussy. Like it really was like I just had enough. Like it was fine. I was like, this is great, but
Well, when you're in your 20s or 30s, maybe
yeah,
your libido is strong. No, it makes you
yeah,
insane.
yeah. I was not. I definitely was.
As we age, we mellow.
Yeah, which I think is great. Although I have to tell you, one of the most depressing divorces I ever did was a guy who was, I think, 92.
Oh, geez.
And what made it depressing is that he had left his wife of, I don't know, 50 something, 60 something years for a younger woman, a woman in her 50s. And I just remember what was sad about it to me was this guy is still being led around by his dick. Like I thought, oh my God, like I'm going to be chained to an idiot forever. Like I'm going to forever be led around by my dick. And I remember thinking like, no, I really thought that at like 90 something, I would just like a beautiful woman would walk by and I go, oh, there's a human being. Like there would be no,
you can appreciate it without
yeah, there would just be no sense of like, yeah, that would be gone from me. And this guy's proof that 90 something years old and you're still thinking with your dick. Like
we're doomed.
That terrified me. It really did. It actually upset me.
You know what's funny about that? I feel that way about people in their 50s, or like Diddy. Like I've always like find it weird that people like Diddy or any other rich dudes is like, you think you would have all this money and you would settle down and find a good woman and then just live the rest of your life with that woman. It was like, nah, some of these people still want to be out there uh fucking some of the younger girls and some of the models and all that stuff, and they know they can because they got the money. But you would think that gets tiring, but some of these dudes, they still out here, you know, like Diddy with who is it, Carisha? Yeah. So I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that person. But like then again, I grew up in a two family household, so like since I was young, I've always wanted that. Diddy's probably different. What you think?
So I think it's really hold on. So I think it's not really that like Diddy, let's use Diddy for example. The fact that he's still sleeping around and hoeing around, it's not really the fact is that he's doing it. It's the fact that he has so much options. You know what I mean? So it's like, why stop when I still have options?
Yeah.
You get me?
Hmm. And yeah, and then people, and just the fact that people, he still look good for his age, and people still find him attractive at his age. So
Let's not act like all these young kids still find him attractive at his age. Let's not pretend that's the case, because
you
we
don't
all
think
know
that's
that
the case?
is not the case.
Oh, you think
Diddy
they're
is
attracted
part
to his
what
money?
exactly. Let's be real honest. They're not just attracted to his money, because it's not really about money all the time. It's about what he can still do for you. So they're attracted of the possibility or hope, the possibility of something. Because it's the same way with the lot of the girls that was having these like, I don't want to say, uh what's his name, um the guy from that, the family, the one that went to prison was, I don't even remember his name. What is his name?
Epstein.
No, not Epstein, the black one. He had the black family, and they were all college, and he was a lawyer, his wife, and blase blase. He went to prison because he was drugging the girls.
I don't know about that one.
The
This
TV
was,
show. It was like the huh?
oh, this was a TV show.
Bill Cosby.
Oh, oh, okay.
So like a lot of the girls that you saw that, they claim that Bill Cosby, or, I don't know. They claim that Bill Cosby did what he did to them, blase blase, or story for story, whatever, whatever. A lot of it came with possibility and hope that he could, put you on. The same thing with R. Kelly. A lot of the girls that were like, I mean, young, like by a lot. Even Aaliyah, it was the possibility that he could put you on. It was like, why? Like, let's be honest. Why, as a teenager, are you meeting R. Kelly? Like, there's no reason for you to have be meeting R. Kelly at his home, at his private studio. Like, I feel like if you're a young child, and you, whatever label you're with or whatever situation you're with, the label should literally have you somewhere, either at the label recording there, especially if it's an adult male or like an older male, whatever the case may be. Like, there should be no reason for you to be in private settings, even if it's just with your mom or whatever. Especially like your lawyer should be about, like, there's certain things when you're certain ages, like, it just doesn't make sense, because it's a hope thing. There's a possibility, like, there's something that I can get from this. They're not dating these people because of love or because of like just money. There's something that they want to get from this. It might be money. It might be opportunities. It might be um financial wealth or knowledge or the connections. Like, certain people do certain things because of something they can gain from it. When it just doesn't make sense. We're not gonna sit here and pretend a 20-year-old dating a 90-year-old just makes sense. You know what I mean?
and
Like,
in the
Diddy is
and in the
Carisha,
code.
Carisha is an artist. Diddy literally holds a lot of weight. Like, regardless of how they want to pretend, like, he's not one of these gatekeepers. He still is, regardless if he's removed from revolt or not. Diddy still holds a lot of weight. He has phone numbers of people, of things. Look how Carisha started dating him. Her life went up 3,000. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Mhm.
Like she's in movies, like in her. Let's not pretend like her and um JT are not the same people. They're the same people. JT's dating what's his name? And he doesn't have the same amount of connections as Diddy does. Like, yeah, he may have a little connection, but it's not the same. It's the same way the person who dates Kanye, you'll get certain connections that you won't get if you dated like, let's say, C Breezy. Like Chris Brown don't have the same connections like Diddy and Kanye West. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like Chris Brown got more connections than a regular dude. That's true. But even if you dated Chris Brown, you're not gonna get the same luxury treatment if you was dating Diddy.
Oh yeah, that's definitely because Diddy can put you in places other people can't.
Exactly. The same way, like be like if you were married to like Beyonce or Jay-Z, whatever the case, they have certain connections that you can't get other places. They are invited to almost everything. The same thing with like let's say the Taylor Swift. She has a plethora of connections also. So like you see the guy Kelsey, he's now getting more connections that he didn't get before since he started dating her. Like he got the football connections, but she has a whole spectrum of like doors that opens for her and all over, and even in the NFL because she definitely went in there because they playing her she literally all over the place on the NFL at this point. She
Mhm.
might be part ownership at this point the way they got her up there.
Okay. All right. Let's get back into the video.
I thought, man, I thought at some point I'd get to experience what it's like to just be free
You
from.
live in New York, where there's a financial industry. There's all kinds of industries here.
Oh yeah.
But to me, sometimes I wonder if female attractiveness isn't the highest valued commodity in our
100% it is. 100%.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Because
Beauty,
men are becoming rich and
youth,
powerful in order to get a woman,
of course.
the woman they want.
Of course. What an attractive woman. And when I say attractive, I don't just mean attractive. I mean even just sexually confident. I mean, what an unbelievably lucrative career that is. Like I do divorces for people that, a woman walks out with $200-300 million. He was an analyst at Goldman Sachs who built a hedge fund and then sold it and then used his trading algorithm to build it up to $500 million. She was hot and slept with him for a while and then stopped and started sleeping with other people and playing tennis and having Botox, and she's going to get half. Like, that's fucking incredible. Like, do you know what he had to do to get that? And what she had to, I'll fuck that guy for $200 million. Are you kidding me? Like, that's insane. That's incredible. Like, and God bless. I mean, I'm not saying that this is the rules of the game, but you can't argue that that's not easier than going to Harvard.
No, for sure. But then the payoff.
Do you feel like that's fair? Because you know how in most divorces, like women get half, and like, like especially when it comes to like alimony and stuff. Do you feel like most of that is fair?
Say it again.
I said, do you feel like that is what he was talking about was fair? Like, like the woman he was marrying, and the woman that. Let me just go back. You heard the conversation, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna just.
And she's going to get half. Like, that's fucking playing tennis and having Botox, and she's going to get half. Like, that's fucking incredible. Like, do you know what he had to do to get that? And what she had to, I'll fuck that guy for $200 million. Are you kidding me? Like, that's insane. That's incredible. Like, and God bless. I mean, I'm not saying that this is the rules of the game, you know, but you can't argue that that's not easier than going to Harvard.
No, for sure. But then the payoff.
What are your thoughts on alimony? That's the question I should be asking. Golly, making it complicated for myself. What are your thoughts on alimony?
Ray.
Yeah. Yeah.
Say that question again. I heard him talk about the.
What is your thoughts on alimony? That's.
Oh. So for me, alimony. For me personally, I don't really care for like alimony. Like I don't care for alimony per se, because the thing is, I can't just think about myself. Like, you know how you can't think, oh, it would be great to receive alimony, but what if the shoe is on the other foot? You know what I mean? And now you have to be the one giving out alimony. So you approve something, right? Because it's great for you. It benefits you at the time. But you don't know what the future may hold. And in the future, you might be the one having to dish out alimony. And now you looking real pissed and irritated because you got to dish out some stuff, some money that you like, bruh, I already had this before you came here. Now I got to give you half of it? Oh, this is terrible. So I don't really care for it. I feel like it shouldn't exist, because being selfish is like great, alimony is amazing, but being unselfish and really like looking at the big picture, oh no, they should cancel alimony. Which the state of Florida, back then alimony used to last forever until somebody gets married. Now there's like a cutoff period on alimony now. And I didn't realize that. So I guess that's why certain people start tapping into other people's finances. So that's my thought. I don't think alimony should exist. But then I also think child support shouldn't exist. But I digress. So
I I think alimony should exist, but I don't think, like, let's say you're making Bezos money, unless she had an integral part of the Amazon thing. I don't think she deserves half. It's just like, or like,
do you
if
see
a
that?
man built this.
See, that's when it starts to go into those gray areas, and you can't think gray areas for one person, and then there's no gray areas for another person. That's when it gets. It's
That's
either yes or no. There's no in between. Well, if you're making millions, that's different. But if you're like a poor person, why do you need to give out alimony? You know what I mean? Like that's that we don't do that, because then it starts to get real great, and then people start finding loopholes, and they start looking for like ways to finesse the system. But next thing you know, even poor people got goddamn paying alimony. Or even a rich person, all of a sudden they look poor on paper and they getting out of alimony. Because like you said, people lose their job, quit their job, get a lower income job just so they can get out of paying child support, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think people won't do that? You think these people that own these companies won't start paying, employ themselves in the company they own and start paying, and then have the company, is run by a trust, but they get a certain income from the company, and it's only a $60,000 income annually.
You heard what happened with Eric Spoelstra, the coach of the Miami Heat?
Oh, he waited till he got divorced to like sign a new contract that gave him millions upon millions.
Yep.
You talking about that guy?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's
What
what
happened?
that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking about when he was talking about that. I mean, yeah. I mean, when you think of it from a rich person standpoint, yeah, obviously, but I'm also thinking about from a poor person standpoint. I this is my
A
opinion. I
rich
feel like
person can create themselves poverty to get
yeah, I
out.
know.
If there's a loophole, there's a way out of it. So
Oh,
it's not gonna work.
oh no, I know that because 50 Cent has done that. Donald Trump has probably done that. But I'm
Like,
just
look
saying.
at this. They out here, oh, we screaming, let's, more taxation for the rich, more taxation for the rich. The tax bracket doesn't change just solely for the rich. It changes all throughout, but poor people still paying tax like crazy. Rich people just finding more loopholes to get around paying taxes. So now they look poor too. So who winning? The rich or the poor?
Uh,
So
I
we'll
only
get
say
alimony. We're talking about, oh, alimony solely for the rich, alimony solely for the rich. And then they found all sorts of loopholes and they poor as hell too. So ain't no alimony coming out. The next thing you know, middle class is the only one paying alimony because they don't know how to make their numbers smaller.
oh yeah. I mean,
Because
that's why I said
they not educated. They just go to work. They just get a paycheck. They husband and wife works real hard, do what they have to do. Then they get divorced, and then boom, husband and wife paying alimony because they fell under a certain bracket. And the rich person who got divorced ain't paying no alimony. It's like, damn, I voted for this, and it's sucking me dry. So I don't do them gray areas. That gray area gets real tricky. Don't give me great yes or no, and I can't think about myself because if I'm only selfish for myself, that same selfish for myself, it could end up biting me in the ass, and it can bite me extra hard.
okay. Mhm. But shit, goddamn, you can't argue with a lawyer or a lawyer in training. So. Let's get back into the video.
The trade-off for that is that when they hit a certain age, the value
Play
decreases.
it right. Play any stock, if you hold it too long, it's going to go down. So play the stock the right way. I mean, and that's what I think. If we were a little more honest about the nature of male-female coupling, I mean, right now we can't even establish what is gender. We can't establish any of that anymore. So divorce is becoming incredibly hilarious and fraught.
Well, to me, what is, like, sometimes you have to stand back and look at things to get the real perspective on what it is.
Sure.
And sometimes you look back at marriage. So when was it invented? Like 2000 BC, roughly. And the life expectancy of humans back then was 18 years old.
Yeah.
And marriage was created for
land ownership
and things like that.
Yeah.
And if you're going to die in your early 20s or whatever, then getting married at 16, 18 makes sense.
Well, I think there's a distinction that has to be made between pair bonds and marriage, right? Marriage is a government concept. Marriage is a contract. Marriage is a legal status. Pair bonds, right? Two people go in it together, saying, hey, there's 7.3 billion people in the world, and the two of us, we're gonna lock up together, and we're gonna try to hold hands and get through this thing.
Until we're 80 years old.
Well, until whatever, I mean, what's interesting is, first of all marriages end. They end in death or divorce, but they all end. Like every marriage ends. So it's one of the only things that you go, wow, I really hope this ends in us dying. You know, most things you that's not the desired outcome. But in marriage, you hope marriage will end in death. You hope that you will be together until one or both of you die. You know, but all marriages end.
But
so
as a guy, as a provider, if you knew it was going to end and you were going to have to give away half your money, you might think twice about doing it.
Well, I think that's what makes being a divorce lawyer interesting, is that it's a lot of what a court has to do is disregard what happened in the marriage, because the truth is at the bottom of a bottomless pit. Like, you're never going to get there. Yeah, well, he's fucking his secretary. Right. Because you were not sleeping with me anymore. I have a client whose wife acknowledges she didn't sleep with him for 6 years. What did you think was going on if you didn't sleep with him for 6 years? So delegate. You've delegated that responsibility. If you don't want to have sex with him, that's okay. No one should force you to have sex with this person. Let him go have sex with someone else. You don't want to do the laundry, hire someone to do the laundry. If you don't want to mow your own lawn, hire someone to mow the lawn. Delegate that responsibility. And this guy wasn't even sleeping around. He was going to those hand job places, you know, where you get a massage and get the most pathetic thing in the world, the most innocuous thing in the world. He didn't have a girlfriend. There was no love involved. He was getting jacked off for $50. Like, that's sad. Like, I mean, first of all, hand jobs, like, that's an outdated technology. That's like a Betamax, you know, like, who even does that anymore? But he was doing this, and he just thought, okay, that's fine. She had the indignation to say, he shouldn't be a custodial parent. He's a terrible person because he's doing this. And it was like, wait, how is that much different than going to a strip club? How is that much more?
Yo, I don't know if I asked you this, but what is your thoughts on monogamy in general?
What do you mean monogamy in general?
Like, he just, like, the way he was explaining, like, she wasn't having sex with him for 6 years, and he was basically getting hand jobs. Her husband was getting hand jobs. And, you know, they're at a massage parlor. And, you know, most people, when it comes, obviously,
he did delegate the job to somebody.
Yeah, he did. She didn't want to do it. So, but my whole thing is, like, people always say, you know, when it comes to monogamy, it's just like you're with that somebody, but and then you're seeing more relationships. And I know we done did a after party on that a while ago about polyamorous relationships and shit. But what is your full thoughts of monogamy? Do you think are we monogamous by nature or no?
I'm not sure if we're monogamous by nature. I hope we can. I feel like we try really hard to be, and every day we continue to extend that trying. I just hope you don't lose the battle. That's what I hope. People don't lose the battle to being monogamous. Know what I mean?
You know what I personally think?
Mm-hmm.
I always look at monogamy as a test. Like, I don't know if you hear men say this all the time. It's like when you're single, it seems like no one's really looking for you. But when you get into a relationship, that's where everybody comes around and be like, oh, I always had a thing for you. Always liked you and all that other stuff. It was just like, where was you when I was single? It's like, now that I'm with somebody, why are you telling me this now when I'm with somebody? I always feel like a monogamy is a test on you and your partner, like, because obviously when you get married, you vow to, like, love, honor, obey this person. You be with them for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. And then I feel like that's when all the all the bullshit happens, where the cheating gets involved, the trust gets involved, and most people, the lying, the protection, your safety, security, that's where all that starts being included. So I think monogamy is a test, and it's a tough test because, like, you no matter like how you feel, sometimes you're stuck with this person. You made a vow before God to be, hey, I'm riding with this person for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I look at it. As now, as far as us being monogamous by nature, I think we can, but I think depending on the person you're with, what is their levels of avoiding temptation,
Mm-hmm.
and that's and I feel like that's what people overlook, because it's just like if your man used to be a sex addict, you might and then you might there's no reason for you to be surprised if you catch him fucking another chick, because he's probably never like beating that addiction out of him. Like he wants to have sex, and if he knows that sometimes you don't want to give it up, and which is, as a woman, you have the right to say no, I don't feel like it. I don't think no one's forcing you, but it's like he could either like wait it out until you do, or he could go fuck somebody else. But if he does fuck somebody else, he broke the trust. So it's like, damn, what do you do? I kind of like I want my needs met, but I don't want to break my trust. So that's why I said like monogamy is a test. And I think for women it's vice versa. It's like you could have any man that, if you was like spoiled and like your father gave you whatever you wanted, anything you asked, your father gave you whatever you wanted, and then you date a man that's very frugal with his money. It's just like, what do you? It's like, anytime you ask him, he was like, no. It's like, we don't need this. You don't need this. It's like, well, how do you deliver that temptation? Do you just like, okay, sit there and pout, not need your money, or you get with a nigga that wants to spend all this money on you, take you to fancy trips, and saying like, I do whatever your man don't do. And it's just like, do you give into that temptation, or do you say, oh no, I made a vow with my man, we're gonna stick it out? So, well, and the sad thing about monogamy is it's a never ending test, because as soon as you pass it, it's not like, okay, we good. Some other test is going to, and it's going to be harder. It's going to be tougher. Some will be easy to get over, but sometimes it gets harder and tougher. So it's just like, how how much can you endure before you say, okay, I'm done?
Uh-huh.
So, and
Uh-huh.
yeah, and I think now we're getting to the age where, yeah, social media, not only like the guy next door thinks you're pretty, the guy in fucking Cali thinks you're pretty, and he wants to fly you out.
The
A person,
competition is definitely steep.
yeah. As in, now you're, instead of your competition be like some dude down the street with drug dealer money, he can get you. Your competition now is some prince with an endless amount of wealth that could fly you to
Mm-hmm.
Dubai. And it's just like, God damn, what the fuck? It's like, it's, woo. And that's for the women. Men is just like, it's just some crackhead down the street that just want to give you head for no reason.
It's for
But
a reason.
it's for a reason. But it's just like, but I think with obviously, I think y'all have, as far as monogamy goes, y'all have the harder test than the men do. At least that's my theory.
It depends.
What do you think? Why you say that?
Google search how many men is there in the world? Like, let's see. Like, yeah. Why am I working? Not connected?
We can do this right here for the audience. How many men are in the world? Okay, according to Google, oh wait, it was here. Let's go to. Okay, this is from Pew Research Center. As of and this is from, I guess this is from 2020. This article's from 2022. So as of 2021, there are about 44 million more males than females in the global population, but that difference is expected to disappear as a result of different growth. So
wait, how many more men?
uh there are about 44 million more males than females in the global population, which I'm actually surprised. I thought it was more women than men.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
The way the way these women be drop locked and popping it, you would think there was more females than men, but to
Yeah.
be honest, they're not
Uh,
enough. They're
yeah.
not enough females. So does
Here's
that
another.
mean half the men have to be gay?
Here's another one that says the number of men and women are roughly equal, though men hold us slightly with 102 men for 100 women in 2020. More precisely, out of 1,000 people, 504 are men and 496. So it's like not even that much. But this was like 2020. Let's see if I can get it down to a specific number. 2024. Okay, the current world, according to the Worldometer, the current world population 8 billion. There are 8 billion, 8 billion people in this world. Oh, we're the third largest country by population. One is India, and two is China. That is interesting. Uh, yeah, so about 8 billion. So if we half of that, so you could say you split it down half. So it's about 4 million men, 4 million women. So a little bit, it's a little slight edge over to the men. So according to some of the researchers, so men about at least let's just say like 1%, like 51% men and 49% women. That'd be cool. You say that? If we round it
Yeah.
out.
So that means, but the weird thing is, even though there's more men to women, so every woman should be able to get their one man. But then you have the competing lesbians, so you are
Mhm.
losing a little bit of females there, and then you have the competing gays, so you losing some men there, and the men to female ratio that's left over after that, combo hit is it's still not equating to what is happening in the world now, because we're seeing more men that are feeling prize worthy because they have an abundance of females that's craving them. When in reality, there's less females and more men. So that means the woman is technically the prize. But that's not what's happening though. All right, let's continue.
Different, because we just, he was like, well, should I deny it? And I was like, is it true? And he's like, well, yeah. I said, no, we should own it. Let's go in and say, yeah, you know what? Yeah, it's pathetic. It's really pathetic. My wife didn't sleep with me for 6 years, and I'm human.
Also, like not sleeping with your husband for like 6 years is fucking crazy. Like,
That's just dumb. Like that's just dumb. Like dumb in all aspects. So what she had going on for 6 years? Like was her vagina off a commission? Was his penis like going through rehab? Like it's confusing me. How did y'all go 6 years without having sex at all? Like it's not making sense. Like was he not living in the same household as you? Like it's not giving it's not adding up. There's something missing. There's a massive piece that's missing. How did he go 6 years without asking it? How did she go 6 years without asking it? Like, where was they living? Were they living together? Because you couldn't be living together with somebody for 6 whole years. Not once did y'all sleep, like, do the hanky panky in 6 years, and y'all still continue to remain in the same household with each other. You know what I mean? Like it's not adding up. I feel like there's missing components that's not being said.
Yeah, that's also crazy. I've actually heard about marriages like that where they say I haven't had sex with my wife in like this many couple of years, and it's just like, why?
They had
Like,
to have been separated. They had to have been separated for almost 6 years. Like it just makes no sense for you to still be fully married.
it's like, but it's like, damn, not even like.
They should have claimed separation.
Where was you getting this intimacy? That'd be the first question I have.
Exactly.
Where is she getting this intimacy?
She get it from somewhere.
But to be in the house with someone like, I'm good. You got it.
6 years she getting it from somewhere. It's just impossible. Like it don't make sense unless there's something traumatic that happened to her. Let's say she almost got raped or something like that. Okay, but if it's nothing of that nature, she just not sleeping with him for 6 whole years. That is not is 2 plus 2 ain't giving 4. You can't be in the same house and you tell me person pass by you every day. Y'all sleep on the same bed together. You accidentally rubbed up on him in the midst of turning or whatever the situation was. It got cold one time and y'all got close and you tell me nothing ever happened. Man, don't even fucking lie to me. That's giving weird. Husband and wife, 6 years. No, no, no. Nigga was just over here getting hand jobs and she was getting nothing. She was just popping up vibrators, child.
Must have been a good ass hand job. If he
Exactly.
yeah, Ling must have been doing the thing.
I'm telling you, he about to go marry hand job.
Mm-hmm.
To have sex still. I didn't want to blow up my life. I didn't want to screw up my kids and have my kids have divorced parents. So I thought, all right, she's clearly not interested in me anymore. I'm not going to have a girlfriend and get caught up in all the things where people could get hurt and there's feelings and fatal attraction and stuff. I'm just going to go. It'll be transactional, like going to a strip club or anything else. And is it a little pathetic that I'm a guy who makes $1 million a year in finance and I'm paying someone $50 to jack me off? Yeah, that's kind of pathetic. But you know what? I figured out, but to suggest that means I'm a bad parent, that has nothing to do with my parenting at all, period. So, and thankfully the judge agreed with me on that one. But I really do think that the idea, I don't think, if you break it down fundamentally, 56% of marriages end in divorce. Like think about, that's the ones that end in divorce. So how many people?
Yeah. And 80 is like 80 to 70 to 80% of it is engaged. It's initiated. That's the word. It's initiated by women. So like 56% of it is a divorce, and about 70 to 80% is initiated by women. That's the stat I
Oh,
was
okay.
all the
Boy, I got lost for a second. I was about to say, wait, you tell me 80% of women out here just sitting there telling these men they want to marry them? That's
time.
what I thought you
Oh no,
meant.
I'm getting a divorce that they
The
initiated, but
divorce is
technically, but I don't know. We even when you put it that way, when you say sometimes women do push men into
now that's
marriage.
weird. Like for me to get down on my knees and ask my future husband to marry me, that's weird.
Oh no, they don't do it like that. It's more or less of a they want you to do it, but it's just like they.
No, there's girls who's doing that,
Oh yeah,
who-
this girl's just doing that now, and
who's proposing to their husbands, or I'm like, yo, like go ahead, put a dress on homeboy, because that's what all he is.
oh man, I always find that funny. It's just like, but uh, as I said, girls initiate, but they don't. But there's few that like go as far as take they get on bended knee for the man. Oh shit. Oh man, that's awkward for everybody. I don't care who you are. That's awkward for everybody.
Percentage stay together for the kids, or because they don't want to give away half their shit. Another 10%, that's conservative.
Conservative.
But let's say 20% then. Okay.
That's at least right.
You now have a technology that fails 76% of the time. That's insane. That's insane. That's more likely than not. 76%. If I told you there's a 76% chance when you walk out the door today you get hit in the head with a bowling ball, you would not go out, or you'd wear a helmet for sure. But people just continue to get married. Not only do they continue to get married, there's a presumption that you should get married. And if you don't get married, there's something wrong with you. So if you've got a girlfriend and you've been with her for 5 years, and you say to someone, we're getting married, they go, oh, that's great. They don't go, why? You're happy. Why would you get married? Like everything's going fine. Why would you put yourself through that? Why would you run that risk? If you say to someone, we've been together 5 years and we've decided we're not going to get married. We're going to move in together, but we're not going to get married. Ooh, what's wrong? You have intimacy issues? What's your problem? Meanwhile, 56% end in divorce. It's literally fits the legal definition of negligence. It's a.
Could you see yourself? Okay, let's say you and I know we've talked about this, and I know, but I want you to just put on this hypothetical cap. Like, could you really consider yourself like you're living with a person for 5 years and him not literally claim you as married as your wife? Like, but y'all do everything as like a husband and wife or some shit like that. Could you see yourself living like that? It's just not on paper. You're like you would technically call yourself married, but not really on paper.
No,
It's just,
that's dumb. That's dumb.
why do you say that?
Or living with someone for 5 years and y'all do all things marriage, like not marriage, but y'all do all things husband and wife, and like the person y'all are in boyfriend and girlfriend status, if y'all was to get married right now, would not have changed that at all. That's just dumb. That's a big heaping load of dummies just operating together. Cause I saw the same thing. There was a girl that said, "Oh, I feel like what did she say? She was like, I think that anybody who dates each, like, we should, like, move in together before you get it married, and, like, do like a short period of time together before you get married, living together." And the guy said, like, cohabitating. She was like, "Yeah, for a short period of time." That's stupid. A short period of time. First of all, I said, girl, stop letting these guys gaslight y'all to think that's okay. A short period of time. A lot of these girls had came up with, and these guys told them it was a short period of time. Oh, let's just move in together because it's easier to just pay one household, right? That's the thought process. It's easier to just pay one household, right? Versus having to take care of two households. Oh, then it's easier to see if she can cook versus taking her out on dates on a consistent basis, or cooking, because you have to cook for yourself now because you don't have anybody for real, so you got to go out to eat all the time. But you can have her here and she's cooking for you, so it's easier. You're saving some money on that aspect. Oh, it's easier to continue to, like, make her think, you know, it's almost soon, it's almost time, I'm almost gonna marry you. A year goes by, 2 years go by, and then 3 years go by. Times keep moving faster. 5 years go by, 6 years go by, 12 years go by. You're having fun, you're traveling, seeing the world, moving this and that, this and that. And 20 years went by. And you just realized you wasted 20 years. It went by so fast you didn't even realize it. Let's be honest. COVID was what, 2019?
Yeah, 2020, 2021, 2020, 2021.
I felt like it was like 2019, like the end of 2019. It
Mm-mm.
was like probably 2020, like probably around April, let's say, yeah. So 2020, it's been 3 years since COVID happened. And it felt like just yesterday happened.
Yeah, it just felt like yesterday happened, but it's like 2020, 2021.
Yeah. But that was 3 years ago. Well, almost 4 years ago. That the first like big wave of COVID really started, like, going ham. And we had to like lock in and we couldn't step out. But imagine 3 years, just how fast that went by. Having the best time of your life with your boyfriend. Y'all splitting it or whatever, however your situation is. I was like, for what? But the thing, a lot of guys also don't realize that you can, like, let's be honest, the DMX situation. The girl that he was living with, he considered her to be like his wife, but they was never really married. And so when it came down to it, things started getting a little bit tricky. His finances, his things and everything else, you know, she didn't really have no say so in any of those things because they were never married. So it's all gonna be split between all the kids plus the kids that she have with him. But she gets nothing. And she was with him for a good amount of time. So people always assume like, oh, not getting married is just a piece. Oh, it's just a piece of paper, this and that. But if something is wrong with you, that person that sits there and lay down and like warms your body every night, they can't do nothing for you. They're gonna have to go call that mom or dad that you hate with all your guts that you haven't talked to in like 15, 20 years, because that's your emergency contact for life or death. So now you look crazy because you hate this person. This person hates you. But they get the opportunity to say what the hell happens if they should pull the plug and continue to fight for your life.
Mm.
But that piece of paper you've been trying to hold hostage because you didn't want this woman that you've been sleeping with, she feeds you every night. If you were so afraid for her to be, hurting you or, trying to take you out, but you eating her food every night, she would have been poisoning you with them damn meal plates that she be making for your ass all the time. She sleep with you every night. You be sleeping so comfortable. Eyes shut down, locked in. She could easily put a little thingy on you and shoot you in the head. But you don't want to get married to her. You know what I mean? Like, it don't make sense. Y'all moving backwards and things don't make sense to question the setting that y'all questioning marriage at.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you have it, everybody. Well, back to the video.
Negligent behavior. The way you define negligence in law school is when what you lose by not doing something, okay, is lower than the risk of harm. It's what's called a BPL analysis. So the burden of not doing a thing is lower than the likelihood, the probability of harm. So BPL, so burden, probability, and loss. Marriage is an inherently negligent activity. It's like owning a lion. Like the likelihood of someone getting hurt seriously by this is very, very high. No one ever says it to you because why? Because, and I would say something. I've been doing this for over 20 years, and I still get misty-eyed at weddings. Like I still really, there's something in me that goes like, maybe it'll work out for these two.
You still believe in love?
Sweet. I absolutely believe in love. I think love is wonderful. But love and marriage have very little to do with each other. I don't think there's much of a correlation there. And I think that's where we got off track.
That's
true. I believe in pair bonds. I don't think I can learn everything I need to know about myself from myself. I think having someone around me who sees my blind spots, and that doesn't have to be a romantic partner. That could be a friend. That could be any number of things. But there is something wonderful about romantic connection. We know that. I mean, the other statistic is 56% of marriages end in divorce, but 84% of people who get divorced are remarried within 5 years of their divorce.
Really?
Think about that. So now you've done it and failed and felt the pain of the loss, and within 5 years, 84% are remarried.
So
that right there, that right there is just like that right there. That amazes me. That means it's just like your first marriage, it sucked, and then you're like, shit, I want to do this again. So I do want to get married. But God dang, it's just it's just like as someone been divorced, it's just like what makes you want to get married again?
Because marriage doesn't suck. It's probably the person you married that suck, but marriage doesn't suck. Entity of love does not suck. Fulfillment does not suck. Happiness does not suck. Passion does not suck. Now, the person you married might have sucked. Hope does not suck. Possibilities does not suck. Time does not suck. So when you remove the person from everything else, you see the greatness of everything else. So it may not have been all bad moments. There were moments where you felt like the love. There was moments where you felt the joy. There was moments where you felt peace. There was moments where you felt alive. There was moments where you felt enjoyment. But you can't just see, you can't only just look at the moments where you felt sad, you felt miserable, you felt alone. So when you remove the negative aspects and you realize, I love being married. I love being with someone. I love the companionship. So like it's the same way where some people realize some people being alone is not for them. So they constantly find themselves being in marriages, or being in boyfriend, girlfriend situation, breaking up with somebody, getting with somebody else. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But now some people, marriage is just not for them. They were married. The negatives outweigh the positives. The positive was so low that they couldn't see anything different. And they've dated people and they've dated and still haven't seen the positives in these relations that they're in. But when you find that one person, that individual person that's like, man, it's like beyond normal. Like your whole soul is invested. The only thing you can think about is being married. You start to look at marriage and be like, man, I think I might do it. So that's why some people go back and get married. Some people, it's hope is a weird drug, man.
Mm.
Only thing people, I'm telling you, only thing people really truly need in this world is hope. A little bit of hope, man. It creates the imagination you was not prepared for.
Yeah. Wise words by Material Life. All you need is hope. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
I'm not about to play with you.
Love
Let's see
you
what this
too.
man talk about, because I think that last marriage sucked everything out of him, because he's still paying for that last marriage.
When you fall in love and you're with a partner who's in love with you,
Sure.
it's like hard to put the brakes on and say, you know what, that's as far as I'm going to go.
Well, I think whoever discovered water, it wasn't a fish. And I think when we're in a thing, we don't see it. And so, I mean, and this is true of any of us.
There must be some endorphins, something's being released in our brains.
Listen, you want to test that theory. The next time you're out with a couple who've been together for a while, and it like seems like they maybe got in a fight, or they're just like kind of being, impatient with each other at the table, when you go like a group thing, just say to them, so tell me about how you met. Tell me the story of how you met. And everything on them changes. Like they go back to that place. And there's this like, oh yeah, and she was this. Because for that second, you go back to that place. Like you can go, someone with a horrible divorce, if you could get them to go to that place and talk to you about that time. Like I have to tell you something, when I was a kid, like every kid, you have the fantasy of like, if you were invisible, what would you do? You'd go to the girls' locker room, whatever. I have this fantasy that if I could be invisible, I have about 8 clients that I'd like to sneak into their house and find their wedding album. Like I know it's in the attic somewhere or something, because I would love to see what it looked like when these people loved each other, because they are weaponized against each other now. And we are trying to kill each other, and we're taking every secret, every intimacy, everything. And we're just,
at their ugliest,
at their worst. And there's something in me that just the thought that like, you guys at some point you were like, there's 7.3 billion people in the world and you're the one. Like you're the one I just want to be with and smell and touch, and like that feeling. We all know that feeling of like just the electricity of another person, and I think I'm a romantic at heart in the sense that I really get it. Like I really get why we do this. I felt it, I know it, I understand it. But tying that to the technology of marriage to me makes almost no sense whatsoever. And I actually think it's almost antagonistic to that connection with another person, because there's so much expectation that comes with marriage culturally. We've created so much stuff around it. Like when you marry someone, they're supposed to be, at least in the modern Western model, your best friend, best roommate, best co-parent, best travel partner, best roommate, best everything, best activity partner. Like how would one person be all of those things? That's insane. Like if I was interviewing for a job and said, I want you to be the best typist, and I also want you to be best on the phone, and I also want you to be great at that, and I ran down a list of dissimilar things, like, or if I went to an amazing chef and I said, I know you're a great chef, but can you farm? Like, well, that has to do with food, but they're not the same thing. Like, what are you talking? So I think why do we put on people this idea, like whoever came up with the word soulmate, really we should be paying, like divorce lawyers should be paying that person dividends, because we've convinced people that if this person isn't meeting every one of your needs, checking all of these boxes, they're not your soulmate. You're.
So 2 questions. One, the first time you ever fell in love, what was that feeling like? And 2, do you believe in the term soulmate?
First time fell in love. I don't know. Um,
That's sad. That's sad.
Soulmate. I believe that there is a soulmate. I just don't. I don't know exactly what it looks like.
What does your soulmate look like?
I don't know, but I believe that there is because
So
there's nothing that like I just don't like. I know soulmate exists. I just don't.
no, not even that, because some people don't believe in soulmates. That's not either. But
Oh,
the first time,
I
you
believe
know,
in it. I feel like it when you look at the entity of life and you look at especially when you look at how our bodies created and story of Adam and Eve and stuff like that. So like there's a person for a person,
yeah.
but it's just like I don't know what happens to you. Like, is there something in your body that like you can read books and you can see things, but like, is there something like how do your body reacts when it you know finds its soulmate, like, or it's like, what I mean? It's just
So you really don't remember the first time you ever fell in love, like that feeling, like when you fell in love?
mm-mm.
Damn, I'm not gonna lie, B. That's kind of sad.
What you mean?
Huh?
What you mean?
Because you was married. Is it like,
Yeah.
and like you don't remember like the time where it's just like you felt, like, even with him, it was just like there was a time where you fell in love with him. Like, I love this man. It's just like,
I don't think I have like I don't think like my body has that trigger point because even when I think about like my child and everything, there's things like is there certain things like I don't know. I just don't. It's not something in me.
damn.
Like to me, like it just I can love you and everything, but it's like oh I like at that moment you knew you fell in love. Like I'd be like, bruh, I know y'all lying. Like you can care for somebody with high abundance. I believe.
But you never say you fell in love. Not even, damn.
No, like you can tell. Oh, I love you, or
Yeah, it's because you can say I love you to a person. I understand, you have love, but you was never in love with a person. That's where,
I
like,
don't think the person you in love with is yourself.
well, duh, but it's like, but you've never been in love with another person. That's what I'm saying, and you said no, and I'm like,
No, it's because that's not. These are like it's just not. It's something's just that's just not in me. Like I can love somebody. You can be hurt when if something happens to somebody. But to be in love, I don't know. I guess because in my mind it's like eventually everyone will leave.
that's sad.
Wow.
It's because it's just like, well, for one, it's I don't. It reminds me of the Chief and the Essex. It is just like, it's just like, how can I say this? There was always uh a a what is the opposite of like a silver lining in a cloud or some shit like that? It's just like, even or like my first class. Okay, my first class petty officer when I was in the pipe shop. On a good day, he will find a way to just fuck it up. It is just like, if we was just even we was having a good time, we was doing everything we supposed to do. He will find a way to just like ruin your day. That was like one of my LPOs, and like just bring down the morale. Because I feel like even like let's just like you go to, I feel like you get if you get the person that marry you, it's just like I don't think he ever wants to leave you. Like even as like I feel like the person you're gonna marry is just like super stubborn. And it's just like I'm not gonna leave this woman, I'm just gonna ride or die with her. We gonna ride out. So it's just like, but dang, it's just like the fact that like there was never a moment where you just looked at your person and just like I'm in love with you. It's just like I feel like you miss. It's just I personally I think you're missing out on life, even though you done lived and you traveled.
I know for a fact it's really not in. And I used to say that like even when I was really like a child, I used to think it was just something that just was not there. And it might be because I didn't have like I wasn't raised like with a dad, so like a male figure or whatever the case may be. So I think it might be also that point and stuff like that. So it's just like I used to think like I just don't have love for like men for some odd reason. Like it's just not in me. Like that is just I don't know if it's my also my thought process is eventually we're all gonna go because that unconditional love thing and all those things that people claim like I love my family, I love my son, I love but it's just not something where like it's like I'm deep embedded. I love me first.
As you should.
So I'm in love with me. That's it. That's like
Damn. It's maybe it's just okay. Now maybe it's because I did live in a two-parent household, and yeah, even though they divorced, but I still have my grandparents that like to this day
mhm.
still are together. They're still together, and they still dance with each other. They
but
still, but
but that's something I knew about myself though from like I knew that was just something that's just me. Like it's not even like I knew that from when I was young that it was just something in me that was just like that.
I want to hug you so bad.
Why? I don't have
Okay,
that
okay.
clinging I don't have that clinging personality. Like it's just not me. Like it just don't even like, I just don't even think it's real like it's like normal personalities. Like when
What to
people
like
like
to be in love with another person?
no, to be there's not to because anybody you can be in love. You're in love with everything. You can be in love with anything, everybody, your family, your friends, your the person you're with.
No,
But
there's a difference between love and in love.
mhm.
Like there's definitely like love is just like you could show appreciation for someone that does something nice for you. It's just like and like I got
So
love for that
have you
person
ever
because
been in love with somebody?
have I ever been in love with somebody?
Mhm.
Yes.
Oh, and what's that feeling like?
I this is just like for me it was just like I wanted to spend the rest of my life and not even like a clingy person, it's just like I want to spend the rest of my life with it. I want to make sure everything that I do, not only that I do for myself, that I do for her, and anything and the family that we may create. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I
okay, quick story because I already told you about my ex. That
mhm.
we already had to talk about my ex before we even got on the show.
Yeah.
Before the last time I saw her was like 10 years ago, right? So
Mhm.
and I was just starting school, but I only had classes on the weekends. So I had I told her that I was going to go see her and in her hometown, and she lived in Martins. She was also out the Navy. She was in Martinsville, so I took a Greyhound to go see her. And like there was one, and like when we was down there, like we anytime she went to work or then when she came back to me, and then we either go somewhere or we do something, and like that whole week it was just really relaxing, and it was the first time when I was with her that I never had to worry about fraternization, us getting in trouble with someone seeing us and maybe like telling about our relationship or some shit like that. So it was like the first time we were just out and just enjoying our company. And not saying like we didn't before, but like I didn't have to, like I said, I didn't have to look over my shoulder. It was just like that time I was like, this is what I kind of like want for like the rest of them, because it was just it was something about that time. It was just like we enjoyed the something company. Now the day when I had to leave and because I had to go back, I had to go back in class. I had to go back to class, so I had to go back to the Greyhound and go back up to Maryland. Like the last thing I remember is like we was snugged up in the car till like the bus. I was ready to jump on the bus, and I could feel her crying on my chest because she didn't want me to go. And like, and obviously we done spent 3 years on and off and on it, but it was just like I was with her for her Thanksgiving, and like we done chilled, and it was just a very special moment. So it's just like during that time, I was just like, this is what I, oh my God, this is what I always wanted from this relationship. And I got that in that week and I just salvaged in it to the point to it's just like, I'm not even going to lie. I didn't even want to get on that bus. I was just like, I stay for one more day, but I was just like, I have to go back, to school shit. But yeah, and then but even before then, it was just like when I was with her, I just wanted to make sure like she was safe, secure, all that safety shit. Was just like I wanted to do things for her to make her smile. It was like if I could be that one to make her smile, if I want to be the one that could do anything for her, it's like she could. I'm the first person that she looks to look after. I was going to be that person for her, and
Mhm.
that's what I felt like being with that woman.
Yeah. You there was love there. There was definitely love in the atmosphere. It was a nice peaceful, tranquility, enjoyment. But to me I feel like when you're like in love, to me is like there's you cannot function without that person when you in love. Like you literally like you're so connected. Like you feel their emotions. Like you're deep in it. So I feel like I think a lot of people we want to pretend and believe like we're talking about a lot of like our grandparents. They are in love with each other.
Right.
I mean that right there. That's for me. That would be considered like in love. Like when I say like till this day still like love each other with their full heart. And some of them there will if one passed, the other one passing shortly after.
Yeah.
But a lot of us we take like these great moments, these tranquility moments and everything else. I don't think you really can be in love with somebody in short spurts of time. Like you have like to be in love with somebody, it's gonna take a long there's gonna be a long period of time where like you come to the point where, man, this person is my life. Like I don't even want to see a day without this person. Like when they wake up, you want to be up with them. And you can't build that off of a couple of years. These people, some of these people are in 50 years, 60 years. They went through trials and tribulations. We talking about people 5 years and y'all don't even talk no more. So how was you in love? It was a nice, there was a loving moment, it felt great. It felt so like it felt like, man, I could see this for the rest of my life. But you can't leave somebody if you're that deep in love with each other. And I had to learn that. I came to the realization I'm I wasn't in love. I had love. But to say I was in love, because I would have never left if I was just madly in love. When you're so in love with them, you're willing to sacrifice. You're willing to figure it out. You're willing to go above and beyond. You're willing to, like, lose a little bit of yourself because that other person occupies your heart. But
I don't think. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, go ahead, go ahead. Because
no,
I don't think you're wrong. I don't.
hmm
I don't think you're wrong. But even with my situation, I felt like I was building towards. I just
yeah.
and
And
this
I
is where.
believe it. But I came to that understanding when I was young, that I knew it's just not. I have not created like that unconditional love.
Hmm.
Like, I know for a fact it still has not even been, like, that love that God has for his kids. I ain't got that. That deep embedded love, like, you want the best for your child. Um but there are certain people, like, it's just like, I care, love, protect, but it's certain things I know about me. It's because I know who I am. And I'm not gonna sit there and pretend like, oh, I was like in love. I may at one point thought I was, but then you have to come to the realization you're not. It At that moment
So
it may have felt like it, but it wasn't it.
have like, let's say, and let's say you see your ex husband right now. Like, you ever never had that feeling like where your heart dropped into your stomach, like every time you see him.
Yeah, you always have that feeling when you haven't seen somebody for a long period of time. Especially if they're like, oh, you went on deployment, you come back and you're like, you haven't seen, you don't know exactly what to expect. Um, you know, you always gonna have that feeling if you've been away from each other for a little bit. There's always some bit of anxiety that's always in you. Even in friendships, not just with, like, relationship with your spouse, but even in certain friendships, like, if you haven't seen your friends in forever, and then y'all all link up to go meet up somewhere, y'all meet up together, and you haven't seen them in a long time. There is that, like, it's
Mhm.
different being on the phone with somebody versus when you see them in person. There's always going to be that sense of, like, anxiety or, like, fear of, like, you don't know. You don't know the changes that has happened, because people can tell you one thing, but when you see them, you're like, no, it's a lot different. You don't know how they perceive you. You don't know how you perceive them. You don't know what's going on in their life for real. You don't know, because the thing is, they can tell you everything's good, and then you see them and you're like, bro, you don't look good. What's going on? You know what I mean? So there's
Mhm.
always gonna be some sort of anxiety, but you can't say, oh, the butterflies. Like, if you have to say a speech in front of 1,000 people, oh, it's because I'm in love with 1,000 people. Like, it's just something. Sometimes nervousness happens, but I can't say, oh, it's because I'm nervous. That's love. Nervousness, that's not love. We can't mistake something for what it's not. And that's a lot of times we tend to do is mistake something for what it's not. We can mistake a great time, a time like when you haven't had tranquility for so long, where everything has been like toxic, stressful, and then you have a moment where it's like it's stress free, peaceful, enjoyment, laugh, and then you think, man, this is amazing, right? Then you have then the moment gets starts to get sour again, right? And somebody else had you start to have some great moments with somebody else, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
think, man, this must be what love looks like. You used to have these same great moments with that same person that you feel is toxic now.
Maybe that's why Krishan and Blueface is going what they're going through.
And we can oh, was that considered love? Do you think they're in love with each other? That's why they can't let each other go? No. It's something. It's like the security, or the easiness of things. Sometimes it's just the like it's easy. There's hope there. There's you don't have to guess. You don't have to like think about it. It's just easy. This person, they like they make sure you straight. So it's like sometimes it may look like love because it to you feels like, man, they got me, but in reality it's not. It's something you haven't experienced before, so now it feels euphoric, like it feels great. Euphoric, my man. It enlightens you. It puts you in this next lane that you haven't been in before, and you're like, wow, is this what love feels like? But it's not. It's just different. Like if you've been in if you've seen your whole life from your grandma down to your mother, they've been getting their ass beat all day long, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you get in a relationship, and the man does couldn't even fathom putting his hands on his woman. Couldn't even imagine another man doing that to another woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one day you go, he comes over to your family functioning, right? And he's watching your mom get beat up by your dad, and he jumps in and protects your mom because she's never seen somebody do that. She might accidentally fall in love with your man and cling to him. Not in like sometimes it might be in sexual, but like in the sense where she wants to always be around him because she feels safe because it's something different. So you have to start knowing how to decipher, you know, what feels what was different and feels like, man, is this what this is supposed to feel like? But then in reality, you're not really in love. You love this person, but you're not in love where you feel like you can't breathe or you can't function or you don't want to see your life without this person. If this person was to let you go right now, you would up and die. If they went out right now, you know for sure you couldn't want to eat no more. That your time is right after them. I gotta. This has to be my ending because they're not here no more.
All right. Well, Pete, that was her soliloquy. Yeah, and let's get back. Let's get back into the video. Let but let us know what y'all think. Is like what do y'all think? for those that see this video. But let's get back into the video.
Your soulmate would know exactly what to do, exactly what to say at exactly the right time. I can go off on this stuff.
Yeah.
I tend to.
What do you think the secret is to keeping a marriage vital, keeping it alive?
I think people get unhappy in marriages the way that people go bankrupt, which is very slowly and then all at once. I think it's very slow and then it just goes off a cliff. So everybody will say, well, we divorced because he was cheating or she was cheating, or we divorced because he had an alcohol issue or drug issue, which lately we're seeing more like alcohol and drugs is a big thing, especially post-pandemic. There's a tremendous amount of substance abuse stuff that's causing a lot of issues in marriages. And certainly like social media has increased the accessibility of adultery and connections to other people and reconnections with people from your past who remind you of a version of yourself that you felt more excited about because you were younger. So it's, it used to be if you like ran into the girl you banged in high school, it was like once every 10 years at a reunion, or if you lived in the same town as you grew up in, you might run into the person at the Walmart. But now it's like on Facebook, you have all these excuses to be able to chit chat with someone and all these benign entry points, of like, oh, I saw your pictures from vacation. Where did you stay in Miami? And then it becomes, oh yeah, well, you looked great. I mean, boy, you look fantastic in a bikini. And then all of a sudden we're off to the races and we're chatting with each other. So I if we were going to invent like an infidelity machine, you couldn't do better than Facebook and Instagram. I mean, that's about as good as it gets. But I genuinely think that the secret to staying happy in a marriage is probably the same secret to maintaining a healthy weight. Don't wait till you get super fat and then try to lose the weight. Don't wait until you get really sick. Like my sister's a dentist. And she always says, if you have a toothache, there's nothing I can do really. Like I can pull the tooth, I can give you a root canal, but like I can prevent you from getting a toothache. If you just come see me regularly and you just floss and you just brush your teeth, you'll never get a toothache. By the time your tooth hurts, something is already seriously wrong. By the time you're in a divorce lawyer's office, you're fucked. The whole thing's fucked at that point. Like you'd be better off just, figuring out the preventative maintenance, right? Like change the oil in your car. Like, so if you reverse engineer divorce, like most people, the marriage killer, the cheating or the gambling or the whatever, that's the symptom. Like the problem is these little disconnections, One of the best stories I had.
Before we get to the story, did you initiate the divorce or did he?
I did.
So was there anything that that was leading up to you being like, okay, I'm done, I want a divorce? Was there anything like do you feel like he knew before then that he was fucking up, or
Yeah, because I'm very honest. That's the one thing I
yep,
try to be, is really honest and let you know, like, and I can be forgiving at a fault, but then it had hit a point where it was just like, I it's like I can't continue on no more. Like
and
the separation became longer. The separation started to like stretch out and stretch out and stretch out. And it was like at one point you have to be like, okay, I'm done. And in sometimes you have to give them that, you have to divorce so they can get their act together. Because sometimes people won't take you serious even at the step of separation.
I agree with that. I got a homegirl right now that her boyfriend doesn't do bare minimum, and yet she complains all the fucking time, and I'm like, do you ever bring this up to him? And she's and she gives me the yeah, but I don't think she do because it's just like
oh, I don't live in secrecy because it does absolutely nothing to pretend like to be silent. Like when you're the only person miserable, like the only person with the secret for what? In my younger years, because the thing is, it's easy to when you're in a relationship like or like young in high school, elementary school, middle school, you get into these relationships, break up, make up, break up, make up, break up, break up, break up, break up, break up. Get in a relationship, and then a few hours later, you might break up with the person because you're like, I don't even know why I'm like talking to you. You're not it or whatever, whatever. Just the things you do when you're young. So
you're breaking up.
oh, I say the things you do when you're young. So you're thinking to yourself, okay, I can just let them go until there's a massive difference between just being in a relationship with somebody, as in the state of boyfriend girlfriend, where you can dump them with no problem, never talk to them, block them, cancel them out, versus when you go and get married, you start to look at things different. The breakup isn't the same. The way your mind operates isn't the same. Because, well, I can't say that for everybody because everybody's different. But like for me, it's a mind thing now. It's not like boyfriend girlfriend. Boy, don't even think about it. Let you go. Move on, cancel you out. It's nothing to me. But now when you're married, your mind is like now you're battling. You're not just battling the regular divorce with somebody you don't know. You also start to fight your mind because now you start to question you as a person, because marriage is not just a regular, it's not just a piece of paper, it's a job. And you didn't finish your mission, or you didn't finish the job that you signed up for. So now you failed at something. So you start to wonder, did you work hard enough? Should you let it go yet? These are things that your judges will probably ask you also. But it's like these are things you go internally now that you're a husband and wife, you start to ask yourself. And anybody who says, "Oh, they got a divorce and it was just like woo, done," like it didn't even trigger them. They never liked that person. If you genuinely liked somebody, regardless of love or not, if you genuinely liked or cared for somebody that you were married to or whatever the case may be, divorcing them will still hurt you. If you even in the presence of dating someone, if you genuinely like that person and you were dating them for 1, 2, 3, whatever, how many years, and they one day say they want to break up with you, if it doesn't hurt you, that means you didn't care for that person not one bit. They could literally fell on the side of the train, you probably wouldn't even care.
Okay, Father doesn't enter the chat. What's going on, Father?
Peace and blessings. What's up?
Hey.
You're all right, Father?
Yeah, I'm good. What's up?
Okay. Have you been following so far with what?
Yeah, I've just been listening. I just got in here because the conversations be lit.
So we were just talking about. Uh, see, I gotta untangent. I don't even know what the original question was. We were
It
talking
was
about,
after the soulmate thing, right?
yeah, but we had just asked about
Yeah.
like if you love the person.
Hold on. Let me
But
bring
what
the
the
video
dude
back.
was saying in the video, he was spitting though. Preventative measures is how you take care of something like a marriage, because because like you're committed to somebody, or you're
Mm-hmm.
committed to building something with this particular person. That takes motherfucking commitment. So if you're not addressing the problems as they arise and addressing them in a way that leads to solutions, it
That's the
festers.
question.
You know
Mm-hmm.
what
Yeah, I
I'm
was
saying?
about to say that was the question right there. Is like I asked her did you let him know that he was fucking, basically did you not know that he was fucking up before you totally got to the point where you was like, I'm done? And she answered that, yeah.
Yeah.
But I also agree that it does take preventative measures. But with the story I was telling, it's like sometimes you need to let him go, because if you keep this going on and he doesn't feel like he's doing anything wrong, or he feels like there's nothing wrong with the relationship, he's not going to change. He's going to keep doing the same thing. And I've told her this many of times. You're going to be the one to break this relationship up, not him. He's going to be good. He's going to be thinking you're good. You, on the other
No,
hand,
no, they know. Like, I don't think he's thinking he's good. He just knows they're not going nowhere. There's a difference between thinking you good and knowing somebody's not going nowhere.
I don't know, because I've asked her, "Are you afraid to be alone?" And like she was like, "You're not the only person that asked me that." It was like, because there's no reason for you to stay in a relationship where you're not benefiting. So unless you are like afraid to be alone, but when you always talk about it, you think like he's going to break up
Well,
with
is
you.
there kids involved?
No,
So no
hell,
kids, no
no
kids
kid.
involved. Um, how long have they been together? Was their virginity lost with
Uh,
this
two
person?
2 years. No, no virginity is lost. But he did make her wait. He made her wait. Uh, uh, the
So,
relationship, the relationship is really fucking weird.
so
Um,
it was different compared to what she normally got. That one was different. So it enticed her. So now she feels like instead of him being the chase, she find herself, being the chase.
how would you feel if your man goes to the club every weekend and leaves you home? It just leaves you at home. It's just
Or I went from all the time because like that was so the thing is you gotta remember is at one point that was me.
that your man would go to the club and leave you at home.
No, I would go to the club and he would stay home because it was so when he like I applauded like go out have fun. I cheat. The thing is, I really have like in even though I say I live in a state of delusion, there's not a thought process in me thinking that somebody's gonna go cheat. I don't sit there and fester in like this thought process that a person's gonna go out and cheat on you. Like that's not like I when I say live in a state of delusion, I do sometimes be living in a state of delusion because you don't think it, so you're not expecting it. So you want these people to go out. I'm used to like, you know, going out, not clinging to somebody, creating your own identity, you know, having fun respectfully.
Hmm. Okay. All right. Let's get
What are
back.
your thoughts, Father? See?
Um, so I believe that like you see patterns. Like the patterns literally tell you all the information that you need to know about a situation because they reveal intent or they reveal results, I would rather say. And what resulted from like their involvement in whatever situation that they're in is the reason why you feel the way that you do. So just like at the very end of the day, when you come to a decision and you are intent about making that decision, like something like divorce, for example, like at that point, just learn from the experience and use that to benefit yourself in whatever way that you will, whether it be with another partner or
Mhm.
maybe in your business or whatever. Like let that experience with somebody at least benefit you in some way. So I think divorce is way too stigmatized. I think sometimes like there are times where a decision had to be made and it resulted in the benefit of both parties. Even if somebody, so to say, crashes out because of a divorce, that means that they didn't put in the adequate time to make sure that their foundation was solid. So if you stayed in that marriage, that foundation was going to crash anyway. And the divorce was proof of that. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, it's just like reality is going to tell you. And that's all I can say. Like, if it
That's
happens,
true.
then right.
What about you, Ray?
I'm the type of person that is like you, whether it hurts my feelings or not. If I'm fucking up, please tell me, because if you don't tell me, I'm just going to keep doing the same dumb shit that you don't like. I've always said the main things I need in a woman, and I'm pretty sure y'all heard me say it all the fucking time, is knowing to be a cheerleader, be a head coach. The head coach part is letting me know if I'm fucking up. That way, you could just pull me to the side, or just have a talk to me because you may see things that I'm not seeing, and it's probably like, and it might hinder the relationship or the future of our family. So you pull me to the side, and you can be like, "Hey, you fucking up. All right. I need you out here to, as the protective divider, I need you to do these things that keep us safe and sound. What you're doing right now is really not benefiting not just yourself, but the family as well. So I need you to get whatever it is that funk is, you get your head in the game, and I need you to go back out there and produce like I know you could. Like that's the head coach talking. Like it's, it's like, and I if even if my feelings get hurt, the fact that you tell me that is at least I can at least admire that you telling me that, because most people would just let that fester until it blows up, and then you're like, you never do, this, and it's like you never mentioned this before. Why are you ain't telling me now? And it's just like, and I'm gonna be honest with you, like I could like some hits I could probably catch on a few, but there's some things like you're gonna have to literally tell me, or it's not gonna get done. So it's like if you tell me, I will make sure it get done. So that that's mostly just let That's I guess that's the communication part. Just let a brother know. So all right, let's get back into the video.
I have is I had a client who I did her divorce, And we'd spend a lot of time together because you do, when you're a divorce lawyer, you spend a lot of time with people and you get to know them very well. I mean, people will lie to their therapist. They won't lie to their divorce lawyer because A, there's no reason to, and B, I need to know everything, and it's all attorney-client privilege. And this woman, we were sitting outside the courtroom waiting on a break in testimony. And she was a young woman in her probably like late 30s, very attractive. And we were just chit-chatting, and I said to her, was there a moment when you realized the marriage is over? Like, was there a moment? And she said, yeah. And I said, when was it? And she said, there was this granola that I like. She said, they only sold it at like this particular grocery store, and I like to put it in my yogurt. And she said, he used to always, whenever I'd be running low on it, I would just open the thing one day and a new bag would be there. She's like, and she's like, it made me feel so loved. Like I didn't have to ask. He didn't want credit for it. Like he didn't go like, oh, did you see? I got your granola that you wanted, like he just would do this thing, And she said it was just something that it always made me smile. She said every time the granola was running low and there was a new bag of granola, I just felt very loved, And she said one day the granola ran out. And I thought, oh, that's weird. Maybe he didn't see it. She's like, so I left the bag in there because I thought, well, at some point he'll notice. And he didn't notice. She goes, so I took the bag out and I waited and he didn't get a new bag. And I thought, okay, this thing's going down. And I thought to myself, wow, that's like, that's such a small thing, like granola. Like you just, but these are the things, like these are the little things that make us feel loved and that are gestures of love. And when I said to her, was there anything like that for you with him? And she said, yeah, blowjobs. And I almost spit out my coffee. And she goes, no. She goes, when we were first dating and even first married, she's like, I used to give him blowjobs a lot. She's like, do it in the morning, took 2 minutes. And he was like super happy the rest of the day, She's like, the rest of the day, he would like call me or text me and be like, oh, that was so good this morning. I had such pep in my step now. And she's like, it was just like, what did it really take out of my life to do that? And it made him feel good. She's like, and then I got to a point where I was like, well, you know what? No, I'll wait. And then tonight we can have sex and we'll both enjoy that. Like, what is, I owe him a blowjob? Like, no, like I don't owe him that, and then she said, I got to a point where it was like, I look back and I'm like, yeah, I guess I didn't do that as often, hardly ever really,
Which came first?
I said that to her and she said, I couldn't tell you. She said, but I think it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
And I do think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying blowjobs and granola is all you need to know, but, and I'm not saying that a blowjob is a small thing. I don't think I have any right to. I've never given one, but it seems like a phenomenal feat. And I'm grateful for everyone I've ever received, but I don't think it's a massive investment. Right? Just like buying someone's granola is not a mess.
But when you love somebody, you love doing things for them.
Right. Their pleasure
you love
pleases
making
you.
their life better.
Their joy pleases you. Like their happiness makes you happy.
Exactly.
And somewhere along the line, and it happens a lot in marriage, it becomes, well, I'm not happy. Why should you be happy? And then that creates a spiral. And I really believe that that spiral could go in the other direction. Like if he did the granola, I think the blowjobs would have come, and if the blowjobs were there, I bet he'd have bought the granola. Like I can't prove that. There's no control group, I can't run that research, but it feels to me like those little things, like leaving a note, I've said to some of my friends, when they say to me, like, as a divorce lawyer, you see all this misery, like, how do I stay out of your office? And I'll often say, I'm like, it's dumb little things, man. I'm like, just leave her a note. I'm like, leave her a note in the morning. Just leave a little note, says, hey, beautiful, so it was so fun watching that movie with you last night. So glad we got to have a date. I'll be thinking of you today. Love you. Like, what does that take? That takes like a
2 things. The episode is called this after party episode is called Granolas and Beejays. Just wanted to let y'all know. I don't know if y'all saw the title. And secondly, when I talk about like head coaches and cheerleaders, know when to be a cheerleader and head coach. He kind of like, to me, he kind of explained it, like the whole, like the granola bar thing. It was, and the BJ thing. It's just like it got a pep in the step. It's just like something. It's like it doesn't have to be major. You just like cheer a person on or do something for them that they like, and it keeps them motivated to like do stuff for you. And it's like that's what I feel like being a cheerleader is. It's like being a motivator. It's just to keeping the person doing what they should do and doing what they're supposed to do, especially if they're doing it right. You just like, at least give them a little bit of reward. I kind of like compare it like to like the way video games, they have like daily goals and monthly goals and like weekly goals and all that other stuff. It's like you do your daily goal, it's a small reward, but it keeps it interesting. You get your weekly goals, it may take longer. You get bigger goals. The monthly rewards, obviously, the longer it takes, the bigger the reward is. So it's just like if he's doing stuff that that he or she is supposed to be doing, at least what you can do reward him. You ain't gotta like bow at his feet. I'm not telling you to bow at his feet, but like, hey, yo, just good job. Keep doing what you're doing and all that stuff. That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean by like knowing when to be the cheerleader and a head coach.
A minute, not even. Like, and look what it can do. Like, look at how that makes this person feel. And even if right away it doesn't work, on that moment it doesn't work, okay, do it enough times. Like, and then you're either going to figure out that this person's gone, and then just fucking bail. You're done. Because if you try for long enough and you give like that, but if you're not giving like that, and then you're not getting back either, well, I'm not surprised. That's how you end up in my office, is this death spiral of everyone like, well, I'm not giving buying the granola. She's not giving me blowjobs. Well, I'm not giving him blowjobs. He's mean to me. Okay, well, everybody's just has an equal right to be fucking miserable then.
I think if you're happy with yourself, you're truly happy with who you are at that point in your life or whatever the situation is, I think it's easier for you to be happy with your partner.
Yeah, but I would argue that
if
you're not happy with yourself, having someone happy with you is certainly not going to hurt your feeling of who you are, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't need someone to tell me I'm handsome for me to have a nice day, but I can't think of anybody telling me I was handsome that it ruined my day. Most of the time you're like, oh, that's nice. I got that going for me. So yeah, I think self-love, of course, is the most important love, and to be secure in who you are and to not allow your self-definition to be easily swayed or pulled. Like if you believe the good reviews, you got to believe the bad ones too. I get that. But I just don't think kindness, like it's just such an easy, like, especially if it's easy. Like it's easy stuff, like just telling someone that they're beautiful or handsome or that you're cheering for. It just, to me, with marriage or pair bonds, I shouldn't even say marriage, like the world is trying to kill you all the time. Like people are criticizing you all the time. You feel like a failure a lot of the time. If you compare yourself to other people, you'll constantly be, comparison's the thief of joy. So why not have like one person who's just cheering for you? Like constructive criticism is criticism. It's still just criticism. So if your spouse is just sitting around criticizing you and telling you all the things you could do to improve yourself, instead of just being a fan and just saying, you know what, I know who you are and you're beautiful. I know who you are and your heart is good. And betting on the best parts of a person, I think that there's very little downside to that. I think it'd put guys like me out of business if people really leveraged that the right way.
I asked you earlier.
Yeah, I agree or disagree with that.
What do you think I'm gonna say?
Delusion. I honestly don't know, B. I honestly don't.
I'm sorry. Can you summarize what he said that you're asking the question about?
So he's talking about like if you have to love yourself first, before you can I guess everything else can come into play. So and then somebody else loving you is like a bonus, but to be honest, if you don't love yourself, it's like everything's gonna be bad.
Then yes, I know you will definitely agree with that, B.
I Well, I feel like it's if you have zero sense of purpose on what you're doing or where you're going or what you want to do or what it's like, especially when there's a lot of people who get in these relationships and they lose the sense of purpose of their life. And so then it's like that's when they get into the state of eventually okay, they'll start then that's when the divorces start to happen and stuff like that. And they don't know what to do anymore. It's like they're lost. And they've lost their self. They feel miserable, this and that. The other person is just like it's like they can't see the person they originally married because that person is not there anymore. It's a shell of who they was supposed to be. So I'm like, I 100% agree. Like you need to have like a sense of purpose. You need to know where you're going. Some people get to the point where I understand you want to be a housewife, you want to be a mom, a stay-at-home mom, you want to be a great wife, but you still have to have something. Like when you start losing, like some people to the point where they don't know who they are anymore, so they don't have no self-love. They don't know what they look like without everything else that's around them. Then they tend to like leech onto their kids, um, leech onto like their husbands, and it's just like we lost you, and now you're going tit for tat because you ain't got nothing else to go tit for tat for. So you now holding off on you withholding sex. Oh, not giving him this because he forgot to bring you this because you can't go buy it yourself.
I do think self love is necessary because self love is how, if you treat yourself well, in the sense that you are aware of how you affect other people, then that's going to show in your like behavior just automatically because you've made it a habit. It's literally a part of you. That's what you've invested in. So seeing where people's priorities is at is going to depend on basically what they prioritize. And I just think that it's important that if you're in a marriage, then the priority should be shown to your spouse. You feel what I'm saying? You need to show that you fucking like care, that you give a fuck. And if it's natural, then it'll just show. But if you like, because there are some people that genuinely go through a lot of like depression and shit, but as long as you are aware of it and you're making strides to address that due to the fact that you're committed to somebody, I think that is what is important in that particular situation. And then everything else would kind of just fall into place because the other person, your your partner, your spouse, is just as committed as you. So as long as that contract isn't like compromised, you can absolutely work out any problems that you have in a marriage or like in a relationship or whatever. Sometimes I don't think it's just, oh, you're not doing this because so I'm getting a divorce. It's the divorce happens because your lack of commitment or whatever is making that particular thing not work, it's gotten to the point of no return. And I think that's the point. It's not, but and you do see some examples of people getting remarried when people get their shit together. There's that too. So I just feel like whatever situation that people have, it's going to be unique to them. So they're going to have to find a way to invest in how to fix it or to even figure out whether it's worth fixing in the first place. Because you don't want to just invest your time into something that's inevitably going to fail. So if you know that it's inevitably going to fail, once you've reached that point, then I think that's where the decisions are made.
I agree.
Self love is the best love. It's like take care, take care of yourself before you can take care of someone else. I would just keep that short. Take care of yourself before you take care of someone else. So, back to the video.
If you believe in love, which you said you do.
People really leverage that the right way.
I asked you earlier if you believe in love, which you said you do. Do you believe in marriage?
I mean, I believe people believe in marriage.
No, but do you?
Yeah. Do I believe in marriage? I don't. I don't think it's a
you've seen.
useful technology. I understand culturally why people do it, but I don't think people should need it. I know I certainly don't need marriage. I don't think marriage. I was married. I was married before I really ever thought about what does that mean. I married my college sweetheart. I got married because that's what you do. You get married. But I hadn't thought about it as a technology and why it's there. I didn't understand it the way I do now. There's a line from a Joseph Brodsky poem that he wrote when his wife died, where he says, "I wish I knew no astronomy when stars appear." And I feel that way as a divorce lawyer. Like, I wish I knew no astronomy when stars appear. I wish I didn't know what the end of so many marriages looks like, because I think I would have a more optimistic and unrealistic view of it. I would.
Yeah, but you'd be divorced and giving away half your.
I'd be foolish. Yeah, I'd be as foolish. But I don't know that it's always good to know, right? Sometimes there's tremendous joy to be had, and like falling feels like flying for a little while, So you hit the ground. Yeah. It feels really good.
But as I said earlier, now that the life expectancy of man is around the 80s or something.
Yeah.
Then it's like, so you're going to do this from your 20s or 30s until you're 80?
Well, marriage is a technology that was designed for when women died in childbirth and when men died in their 40s if they were lucky, 50s if they were super lucky. Like if you were in your 50s, your 60s, you were an elder. That was pretty amazing. And most women died in childbirth. Like childbirth is traumatic. It's a traumatic thing. And before modern medicine and before we understood antibiotics. So marriage is I don't think anyone ever planned that it was going to be, okay, we're going to do this forever. We're going to do this till we're in our, till we're 100. I mean, but I think that's part of a bigger problem. I don't remember who said it, but I remember someone saying, I can't remember who it was, but we are prehistoric creatures, right? Like we are biological creatures living in medieval institutions like education, work, with godlike technology. How do you think that ends?
Before he continues, so most of this stuff we done talked about, like maybe not in the sanctity of marriage, but how things, because I've told people, it's like, back then the life expectancy of some men, especially like in the 1900s, and I actually looked this up, was like late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah.
And like you said, if you got past 50, you was an elder. So like, and as far as women go, it's just like they usually have their babies early, like when they're 12 or when they start ovulating, because that's usually when they're at their peak. And I know we was talking about this because people was like, why are some men attracted to younger women? And I was like, well, back then, and I feel like there's some things that doesn't really although time is involved, there's some things that men don't really there's things that in men that stays the same. And I feel like the way we look at younger women and the way we look at marriage, and not even just marriage, just education and how we go about things. Like we even talked about jobs now, like how things back then, it took 8 hours to do. Now, in today's day and age, you don't really need to, you don't even need to go to a building to get your job done. You could work at home. It's like we're in a society now where you can work at home. You don't have to damn near leave your house now. And but there's some things that we just kept as traditional, and there's some things that needs to be evolved or it's just not going to work anymore, which is like how we look at jobs and how we look at marriage and basically how we look at society as a whole, because a lot of the rules and regulations and laws comes from olden times. And it's just like, it's like, and those that, though some of them are very, timeless, there's some things that needs to evolve. Like, in my opinion, education. I feel like education needs to evolve. The way the job market and the economy, that needs to evolve. Hell, the way we vote our presidents in, that's fucking ancient. And I feel like we need to change that. And I said that the last time because motherfucking and I'm not going to get into no political shit today, because how like COVID fucked up the elections and it took us a month to fucking find out who the fuck our president was.
That was great.
That was that was superb. And we're going to do it again. It's going to happen again.
It's going to happen again.
It's going, but like I said, I'm not getting into no political shit. There's like now most people are living till hell. Most people living past 100. It was like the oldest person is what, like 119, 120. Like most people living past 100 now. Like being married for like shit 80 years. Fuck, that's a long ass fucking time. If you really think about it, you with this one person for like 80 fucking years. And I think most marriages probably back then, like you said, most women died of childbirth and most men like die at the age of 40. That's a lot. That's completely different from what's going on now. So, and even like how like marriages was like daughter back then is like what, like I give you my daughter for like 3 goats or some shit like that. In some countries, it's just like they'll trade your daughter for land or for other stuff. It's just like things need to evolve. Mm-hmm. What do y'all think?
You hit the nail on the head there. It's fucking sad.
You said it all.
Okay. On that note, let's get back into the video.
You think that ends in happily ever after? Like, that's insane. Like, marriage was not designed. I mean, think about even the early days of marriage. Think about every Rodgers and Hammerstein musical. Think about Oklahoma, where you'd have there's like the 3 people in town that aren't married, and you sort of pick which of the 3, you were going to go be with. And now you have access to just an endless supply of the opposite sex, or I shouldn't even say the opposite sex. You have an endless supply of romantic partners in a device in your hand. How does that possibly stand up? How does marriage, the idea of monogamy, forced monogamy or enforced monogamy, how does that ever survive in that environment? I don't think it can. I don't think it's realistic. The statistics prove me right. The statistics are absolutely in my favor. Now, again, get married as many times as you want if you have a prenup. If you have a prenup, go get married. Getting married's a blast. Being married is difficult. Someone once said that it's great to be married sometimes. The problem is you're married all the time.
So you're a fan of prenups?
I'm a huge fan of prenups. I mean, I shouldn't be, because a prenup for a couple of $1,000s will save you hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially in legal fees, if not millions. So there are clients I have that have spent over $1 million just in their legal fees, that if they had spent $2,000 on a prenup, none of that. They'd still have that money in their pocket. And that's incredible to me. Like, I have 2 sons who are adults that they are absolutely going to have prenups. Like, they have to have prenups. They'd be fools to not have prenups. It's like jumping out of a plane with no parachute. Why would you do that? It's stupid. Prenups are enforceable. They make sense. I actually think there's something very romantic about prenups, because they're forcing you to have a conversation about this relationship. Like, I genuinely believe that we are the most aware of our health just after we got sick, right? Like, when you wake up and you have a toothache, all you can think about is the fact your tooth hurts. And then your toothache goes away. And for like a week,
You're taking care of your teeth.
You go, oh my God, at least I don't have a toothache. you know. But then a month goes by, you don't wake up and go, well, at least I don't have a toothache. You know, it's the furthest thing from your mind. But theoretically, you could wake up today and go, I don't have a toothache. I don't have a backache. I don't have a head cold. Like, this is a great day.
What was a typical prenup look like?
The easiest prenup in the world. Easiest. Yours, mine, ours. That's it. Yours, mine, ours. Then your name, it's yours. If it's in my name,
No, but
it's mine.
Like in a divorce, everything, all the assets are split 50-50.
Well, no, what you say in a prenuptial agreement is if it's an asset or a liability, if it's in my name, it's mine. If it's in your name, it's yours. If it's in our joint names, we'll divide it 50-50. That's it. Yours, mine, ours. And then you have to have ongoing conversations throughout the marriage about, you know, hey, I got this bonus at work. Do I put it in my account? Do I put it in the joint
But
account?
if the husband owns a house that's worth whatever, $2 million, and he marries a woman, the house is his still.
Well, they have to have a conversation.
Do
Do I owe you a house?
That's an awkward conversation.
Okay. You know what's a more awkward conversation? A conversation 10 years later with a lawyer about the fact that you have to give half of this house away to someone. Isn't it better to have that conversation when you still like, why would you learn how to fight in a fight?
But won't that undermine?
Stop trying to hit me and hit me. In the words of Morpheus.
So you love that fucking quote.
I love that quote. Because that quote is just used for a lot of things. Like he said, you don't learn to fight in a fight. The first thing they teach you to do is defend yourself. It's like, at least most people, when they teach you how to fight, is at least teach you how to defend yourself, and at least, you know, show you techniques and some shit like that. You know? Yeah, my favorite quote in the Matrix of all the three movies is, "Stop trying to hit me and hit me."
The love that each person feels.
Why? You're going to die. Does that undermine your life? Or does it make you conscious of the fact that this is finite and that you should be out there? Like, I think having a conversation with your partner about, look, I love you. You love me. We want to do this thing together. But the numbers are against us and the world is antagonistic to it. And I hope we'll be together forever. But if we split up, what do we owe each other? What do you expect from me? Because I have to tell you something. I'm a fair person. If you say to me, you know, Jim, if I'm not going to work as hard because you make a good living. So if we split up, I'm going to need help for a couple of years because I'm not going to pay attention to my career. Hey, is that unreasonable? That's totally reasonable. You know, if I say, hey, listen, I have this house and I bought it, you know, but I'm buying it with money that I made really before we were together. So if we split up, I don't really think you deserve half of it. I think that if we bought things for it together, that, okay, those things you can half of, but the house itself, like, that's money I had before I met you. And why can't you have that conversation? Why not? Instead, I mean, you buy a house, you do a HUD-1, a lead paint disclosure, you got to sign all these things that this is how much the interest is going to be. And this is what you get married, you can get a fucking pamphlet. You don't get anything. You just did the most legally significant thing you're ever going to do other than die. And no one has explained any of it to you. People come into my office and they go, well, my retirement account, that's in my name. And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't matter. It's in your name. Okay, was it acquired during the marriage? Okay, she's got half of it. Well, I have this bank account, but it's in my sole name. It's money that I inherited from my mom. I'm like, okay, and it's in your name. Yeah, but you inherited that money during the marriage. Yeah, and did you put money that you earned during the marriage in that account also? Yeah, okay, that's commingled and transmuted. That's now marital property. So they don't know that. Why? Because no one tells them that.
And that's the reason why Eric Spoelstra got divorced before he signed that contract with the Heat. Because he knew that she was going to take half without lifting a fucking finger. So if people wonder why that was such a smart move, that was why. Because most people do not know, even if she has nothing to do with like inheritance or nothing like that, the fact that y'all was married, she's going to get half, which is why people ask for prenups. It's like, what's mine is mine, is what yours is yours, and we just leave it at that. Sometimes And like this is why a lot of people fight for not having, when people get married, a lot of people ask for prenups now, because especially if you've been married before or somebody that's been through a terrible marriage and they got half of everything. Most people now, it's just like, oh no, I want a prenup. So, um,
when they're getting married, all it is, you spend more time talking about the cake than you do talking about the fact that you just opted out of the title system. That's gigantic. You can't legally change the beneficiary of your life insurance, even to your children if you're married, without your spouse signing a consent to that. No one tells you that when you can get married. Elvis can marry you for $20 at a drive-through cathedral. And it's a legal status, a massive legal. You buy your spouse a Rolex, you bought yourself one half of a Rolex. You buy someone a birthday present who you're married to, you bought yourself one half of that birthday present. Nobody knows. People don't know that. They learn that for the first time in my office or in a courtroom. That's insane. What other thing in the world, like anything else, any other contract, you would say, well, wait a minute, no one explained that to me. No one explained that to me. When I leased this car, no one explained to me that there's wear and tear. It doesn't say it anywhere in the contract, right? Okay, marriage contract doesn't say that. It doesn't say, oh, and by the way, you're opting out of the title system and your retirement assets and all these other things. And if there's any debts, and you could have enhanced earning capacity or celebrity goodwill that has to be valued by forensic accountants that'll cost you $100,000. No contract that says that. It just says, yep, we're getting married. It's 2 witnesses. We're good. Like, what other contract in the United States or anywhere has that lack of disclosure and is that binding? None. Zero. None. So why a prenup? Yes, that's an awkward conversation, I guess. I don't know that it has to be. And I have to tell you, the more awkward of a conversation it is, the more you should think twice about getting married. Because if you can't have a conversation with this person about the possibility that someday one or both of you might hurt each other. Like, how many people, while they're still happy and in love, say something like, babe, I love you, but we're going to disagree about something at some point. And when we do, how do you like to fight? Like, do you need a minute? Like, do you need to be alone for a minute so you can kind of calm down? Or are you hey, we got to figure this out and we can't go to bed angry? Because let's talk about that now while we're not in a fight. Let's talk about it now while we still get along and we're happy and we're trying to figure out how to navigate each other. It's hard enough to navigate yourself. I want to navigate another human being. Why don't we have that conversation now? But no, we don't. We learn on the job. We learn how to fight in a fight, which is insane. But again, why? Well, because it's awkward. It'd be awkward to have that conversation. More awkward than getting in a fight where you don't know the rules of engagement, where you don't know how your partner does better or would feel better. And you're not going to ask them that in the heat of battle, So why wouldn't you have that awkward conversation while you have this abundance of affection for each other? I mean, when I negotiate prenups, it's the easiest thing in the world in a sense, because these two people really like each other. They're about to get married. So they're clearly not trying to kill each other. At that point, they clearly like each other. So you just say, hey, listen, go home, talk to your fiance about X, Y, and Z, and see.
I used to ask this question to a lot of women when I talk to them. And I always say, okay, if you're in a place where you're mad, how do you confront the person? Do you wait till you calm down, or do you just as soon as it happens, you tell them? So I want to ask y'all that. Usually in a relationship, how do you confront your significant other when they either fuck up or they do something to piss you off?
Honestly, I'm just gonna be honest. Because if I care, like he just said it, if I care about my wife, then I'm going to be honest with her because I have that respect for her. So that communication is going to be easy. Hey, babe, you said something that I didn't like. And then we talk about it. And then I explain why I didn't like what she said and exactly my feelings when she said it. She is my wife. She has to care because we are married. You see how that works? I think
Yeah.
it's very matter of factly. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're committed to a person, be fucking committed to that person. Which means, again, preventative measures, building that strong foundation so that in case shit gets real fucking rocky, like, for example, say I lose my job, and because I bring most of the income home in the family and I do not have a plan B, we're going to be sink or swimming for a while. We need to be able to be a cohesive unit in order to weather that storm until I can get back up on my feet again. So it would be in my best interest to understand how my wife operates when she's upset, so that when shit gets real fucking stressful, because we're human beings, stress gets to us. We get emotional. Sometimes we get overwhelmed when things aren't going in our way for a long time. You've had losing streaks before. So I need to be able to see that within you, and I need to be able to be the partner of the relationship that would help you navigate this thing. You feeling what I'm saying? The prenup that he's sitting there talking about is just a pre-measure because assets are going to be at play here. Assets is what generate income for the unit, for the commitment. In the case that we separate, I want your shit to be your shit, and I want my shit to be my shit. And then again, whatever we had, together, we can just split 50-50 and then go up both ways. It's about an even split. You don't want it. You don't want a situation where one is taking over the other, because that becomes parasitic. A parasite does that. It takes more than it needs to. You feeling what I'm saying? So don't have that type of relationship dynamic in your marriage. And in the case where you can even recognize that in your marriage, that means something has went completely wrong. So that's
What about you, B? B, you there?
getting jitsi. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I used to I try to pay attention to body language. Like I said, sometimes uh I because in my earlier stages, I used to not know until it's happening, that or until it already happened. Like I'll fuck up and then not know I fucked up until like a day later, a week later, or some shit like that, or where I could have fixed it. So like, but I tried to, one thing I always try to do for myself is try to figure out the person who I'm with and know some of their ticks or what would piss them off, what would tick them off. And I don't do things on purpose, but let's just say like my ex, she hated when I left the cabinet door open.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the one time I did it, she just like she looked at me and then she closed it. And then I realized it's like, oh shit. It's like why, and the first time I was like, why the hell is she like giving me that look? And then she told me, and then like, I don't like, I don't like it when you leave the cabinet doors open. I apologize. And then the next time where um I tried to like remember, because I could tell like she's looking at me, see if I do it or not. Like if I close the cabinet door, I can see her smile a little bit. It's like, okay, he's learning. But sometimes it's just like if she gets mad, she'll get real quiet to a point where she's just like, because she could be real talkative and then she just stopped talking. And then that's the first time I start remembering, okay, she's mad at me about something. So I'm going to hear this either before we go to bed or uh whenever like late at night when she want to throw this up. So I used to try to beat her to the punch to be like, what's wrong with you? And she would go say, oh, there's nothing. And then I would say, no, it's not, because you're quiet. It's like you've been quiet all day. And I know when you're quiet, something done pissed you off that I did. What is it? And then she'll tell me. And then, but I wouldn't know that if I learned how to read body language, because most people, their body language will tell you before their mouth will ever tell you. And I used to tell this to men all the time: learn how to read body language, because they could tell you they're fine, and as men, we'll just go off of the "I'm fine." But if you could really look at their body language, and sometimes they'll be even more subliminal, like playing R&B songs that talk about how they're feeling, and and oh, they're playing Mary J. Blige, "Not Gonna Cry No More," and you sit here like, oh, that's a good song. I love that song. Either way, she pissed off at you for like whatever dumb shit you did, and you like stupid ass is just like, oh, I didn't know she was bad at me. It's like, you didn't hear the Mary J. Blige? True story. This not it didn't happen to me, but it happened to one of my friends, because he had having an argument with his wife, and then she was playing a bunch of sad R&B music. And I'm like, I know this nigga. I was like, I know this nigga don't hear some of these songs, and he did, but he just didn't care. But it was just like one of those things where it's just like, if you don't solve this shit, because I don't want to spend a whole weekend of you arguing with your wife, and before we got to do some shit like that. Because I was trying to go to Virginia Beach for something, I don't forget, and then like I end up like chilling with him and his wife and all that other shit. But yeah, learn how to read body language. Long story short,
see what they think, and tell them what your concern is. And very often people will come back and say to me, I mean, I have to tell you, I've been doing this now, over 20 years. I do a lot of prenups. I do maybe 5-6 prenups a month. Sometimes during like pre-wedding season, which is the fall and before the summer, I'll do 10-15 a month. The people who say to me, oh, well, I don't want to have that conversation. They get the prenup, and within 3-4 years, they're divorced. Sometimes 5 years and then 7 years, but they're the ones who get divorced. They have no business getting married. Like the ones who have the discussion and figure out well, I'm worried because if you keep the place, yeah, you're right. Okay, so what if I give you this amount of money and it's this much for each year? Okay, yeah, that's cool. Let's do it that way. Those people, they'll probably never put the prenup in a safe someplace. You'll never look at it probably.
Good communication solves the problem.
Yeah, because they're able to talk to each other and they're able to talk about hard things. How are you going to be married to someone, have children with someone, and you can't talk about hard things? Like how are you going to navigate life and not be able to talk about hard things? Like that's silly. So if you can't talk about hard things, don't get fucking married. It's okay. You don't have to. You can stay together. But people I had a client, no joke, guy was in his 70s, who's married 4 times. I did his 3rd and 4th divorces, and he was getting married for a 5th time. And I said to him, I was like, because I actually thought he's older. So I thought, like, does he know you don't have to marry them anymore? Like, maybe he doesn't know.
He's dividing his assets.
Yeah, maybe someone didn't tell him. Like, maybe someone didn't tell him, like, you can fuck them. You don't have to marry them anymore. You can just do that.
He's dividing his asset multiple times.
Well, and it's getting smaller and smaller every time. But I said to him, I was like, why are you doing this again? I was like, you don't have to get married. Like, you're clearly not great at it, Like, and he was very funny. He said, Jim, he said, you buy a car and you drive it for 200,000 miles, and eventually the engine craps out. So you go out and you buy a Ferrari, or you buy some flashy sports car, and you drive it for a couple months and you realize this is not the car for me. So you get rid of it. Then you get another car, and you think this one's going to be the one for you, but after you drive it for like a year, you realize, yeah, this is not the car for me.
You can lease them instead of buying them.
You're going to walk everywhere for the rest of your life? Yeah, well, that was my answer. You could lease them. Or you could have some other alternate arrangement. I mean, here's the thing about marriage is it's a technology. So we made it up. So we can change it.
You think marriage will change in the next 20 years?
No. I actually think it's going to have, I think the pendulum always swings hard in the other direction. We have a tendency as a culture to overcorrect. So I think we're heading into a spiral of like traditional stuff.
Really?
Like I think you're going to see like people getting like super religious again, and people are going to get super dogmatic. I think you're going to see the trad wife thing. We're going to see the hyper masculine. We're going to see like a very, we've gone so far in the direction of postmodernism where nothing means anything and everything's just, like there is no definite. We become like Sartre, like we've become so postmodern that it's become almost a form of rugged individualism. I think we're going to swing in the other direction now, and traditional institutions are going to get
that'd be fun to
popular
see.
again. It will be. I mean, you know, from a marriage place, it's going to be great because I think people are going to get married. I mean, people were slowing down on getting married for a while,
Sure.
and they were getting married later, and they were having kids later. We're declining to have kids, and I think as a culture, we start re-solidifying into gender roles or gender tropes, depending on how we want to look at it. I think you're going to see marriage resurge again. But I think that it's still going to be as flawed of a technology as it ever was. And I think we have so much out there now to compare ourselves to. You know, you used to compare yourself to the neighbors next door and what car they had in the driveway and what they were wearing when they left for church on Sunday. Now you're just looking at everyone's greatest hits while living your gag reel, you know, and you're never looking at any of that stuff when you're having like a peak experience. You know, you're on the toilet or you're bored and you're looking at everyone's hashtag blessed. And meanwhile, they're in my office. Like, I can't tell you how many people do a consult with me and they're cheating and they haven't slept with their spouse in 3 years and they're miserable. And you're looking at their Instagram and it's all like best wife ever, hashtag greatest hubby ever. And you're like, what is this? It's performance art. You know, it's an advertisement of how happy you are, but this is what people are comparing themselves to. They're looking at that and going, oh, my marriage isn't that good. That marriage isn't that good. Trust me, that marriage isn't that good. That marriage is in my... Look at celebrities. You don't even need to look at the people you know. Look at celebrities. Before they do it is with great sadness that we advise that we're going to be moving in separate directions and consciously uncoupling. And like that, right before that, it's like, oh no, we're happy, we're great, we're phenomenal. You know, we're constantly advertising how wonderful our relationships are while they're on fire. You know, and then wondering why everyone's, you know, miserable in their relationship because they're comparing it to something fake. It's like comparing your body to a photoshopped body. You know,
other than social media, do you think there's something else in our society that made marriage more difficult to stay together?
Now makes it more difficult.
And just like your parents stayed married?
Yeah, my parents stayed married until my mother passed away.
Same with me.
But they were mixed results. I think that my parents were not as caught up in their own happiness. I think we're very caught up in our own happiness.
We're all very
Yeah, we're all very sort of, I don't want to say narcissistic, but we're very much like we are the sun around which everything revolves.
What am I not getting?
Yeah, my father was a Vietnam veteran. You know, he got out of the Naval Academy in '66 and went to Vietnam for 3 years. So he was alive. So he was like, fuck, I'm ahead. I'm playing with the house's money. I'm alive. Everybody in their wedding party had died. All the men in their wedding party died in Vietnam. There's 5 guys in their wedding party. They all died in Vietnam. My parents never looked at their wedding album because every single man in it was dead. They were all helicopter pilots in Vietnam who got killed in their 20s. You know, so they didn't really see marriage as like it was a partnership. It was like, yeah, we're going to do this thing. We're going to have kids. We're going to raise the kids. We're going to, you know, we're going to have a house. You know, we're going to have a car. Like, we'll be successful. The lights are on. My father was dirt poor. He came from like Appalachian part of Virginia, a small town called Shawsville. Didn't have indoor plumbing until he left for the Naval Academy. And I think he saw marriage as, yeah, it's what you do. You know, he met my mom on Fleet Week. She was a nurse in the city. And he was, you know, on Fleet Week and he had his uniform on and he was in a bar and he was drunk. And he went to her and he said, "You're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen and I'm going to marry you," because he was drunk. And she said, "Are you in the military?" Because he was wearing a uniform. And he said, "Yep." And she said, "What country?" And he said, "Whatever country you're from." And he invited her to visit him at the Naval Academy a couple of weeks later. And she came, but he'd invited 3 other women. He just didn't know if any of them would come. So he'd invited all of them. So my mom got there and she saw these other women and she said, either I'm leaving or they're all leaving. And he was like, I kind of like her. So he made them all leave. And they were married 50 plus years. But, you know, their marriage had challenges. You know, he was an alcoholic. He's been in recovery for maybe 7-8 years since she passed. But, and he's remarried. But he remarried within a year of my mom dying. Like, he was he's of a generation of men that he needed someone to take care of him. You know, my mom died. He didn't even know how to scramble an egg. Like, it was, you know, like after she passed, I had him come to stay with me and my sons. And I was trying to like teach him like, okay, Dad, here's how you make like a batch of chili and then you can eat it all week, you know? And I was like, how's this guy gonna because they had this very, but that's what he met another older woman, and her husband had died. She needed someone to take care of. He needed someone to take care of him.
But that generation didn't have it as easy as we did.
That's what I'm saying. Like they
were
just
grateful.
meeting your basic needs, right?
They were grateful to be alive.
They were grateful to be alive because they'd either been through war.
We're not grateful unless we're driving a Mercedes or a.
And even then, we're not grateful because the truth is well, okay, a Mercedes, but what's a Mercedes? Who cares? You know how many people have a Mercedes? My secretary has a Mercedes. She leases it. I drive a Jeep. So is she better than me? Is she more successful than me? She works for me. So I don't know that any of it's enough anymore. Like no matter what watch you have, somebody's got another one or a better one or 5 of them.
And all this comparison that we see.
It's all. And so I just think that's the thing that makes it impossible, right? Like if you're our parents' generation was struggling to just make it through, right? To meet your basic needs, to keep a roof over your head, to raise your children. And now where it's very much, are you self-actualized? Are you happy? Do you have 8-pack? Like it would never have occurred to my father, did he have an 8-pack? It would never have been something he thought of, it's just not. It just wasn't on his radar, and I don't think my mother would have ever been like, oh, he doesn't have an 8-pack. Like that wouldn't, because again, though, it's not constantly being advertised to him. I think that how many women did he interact with in a day? How many women do I interact with in a day visually or personally in some fashion or in a curated, mediated way? And again, those are curated women, by the way. So they're photoshopped, they're airbrushed, they've got filters on them. So again, how does marriage survive in that setting? It had a hard enough time surviving without all of that. I mean, forget kids.
The divorce rate keeps increasing, right?
Yeah, it keeps.
I'm gonna go ahead end it here. Even though there's what about 20 minutes left? Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. So, damn, that was a very informative piece. What did y'all think about the video?
Bro was spitting. I disagreed with nothing that he said. He knows what the fuck he's talking about. Like he's just say be active. Like if you're going to be married, be active and have the necessary shit in place in the case where it can fail. But people be so googly-eyed and because marriage is super motherfucking romanticized, and they want people to get married more often because they can sell shit to a whole bunch of weddings. Like weddings are fucking expensive. First of all, you feeling what I'm saying? People make a lot of money with weddings. So that's why they advertise it so much. That's why there's such a big push. Yo, get married, because a lot of niggas are going to eat from y'all getting married. You think of the food that you're going to buy. Think of the wedding cake that you're going to buy. Think of the venue. Like, niggas make a killing off motherfucking weddings. So it's advertised very, very aggressively. Even down to the motherfucking shit you're going to put on your woman's ring. You have all these companies competing. Like, it's a big business. The problem is that people don't see the business side of it. And then when it gets to the actual marriage, because marriage is half business, half like commitment, like love shit. The business side of it is important because you guys are going to be sharing assets. You guys are going to be living in a home, like there's a lot of shit that you guys are going to have to make decisions about together. And you have your individual needs and your individual shit. She also has her individual needs and her individual shit. And if y'all don't properly create the proper foundation to separate it in its proper place and deal with the layers that have issues, then it's going to just cascade onto each other. And then all of a sudden you're in this web and you're in this mess. And then both of y'all are unhappy as a result of being in the mess. Like, bro was spitting. Like, I really learned a lot from him. And he's not even really saying anything that's super complicated. Like, it's just being able to witness the phenomena of the clients that he meets, like, on a regular basis, and just think about the sheer magnitude of how many fucking divorces he has to deal with, just simply due to the fact that these people, and not saying that they did anything wrong, but they, life just goes on. You know what I'm saying? Like you get married, sometimes you get divorced. You get married and then, oh shit, we woke up and you've been married 70 years. Like results may vary. You feeling what I'm saying? But no, it was a good ass video. That channel has good ass videos usually. So
What about you, B? Was this video everything you was excited for?
I don't think she's still back.
Last call for me. Last call for material life. Okie dokie.
That's the answer.
Uh, oh man, it's almost 4 hours. That's why I was going to cut it short because I was like, we're not gonna go through this whole video. But yeah, I agree with you. I feel like, and maybe might be reaching, but I feel like if you're thinking about getting married, you should watch this video. I will say this: it's just like learn from a divorce attorney, and it's like what he has to go through, what he has to like um, sit through, and even like giving his thoughts on marriage is very insightful. Like the whole thing about 56 people get divorced, and 84% other people get married again in within 5 years. It's like wow, it's just like you make people think it's just like they really believe in love. Like even then, it's just like at the end when he was talking about how it's going to swing back to traditionalism where people just want to get married more, but it's just like he just don't think this marriage is going to evolve, and that's the one thing I said I was talking about. It's just like I feel like marriage, like there's a lot of things in this society in this world, not just marriage, but like it needs to evolve. It's just like we can't be having rules from like the 1900s and like still try to live life as is the 1900s. It is 2024. Things have changed. Like technology has gotten better. Like you could, is not to repeat myself, but things you could do in 8 hours, you could do in fucking one. Hell, not even like 30. Like hell, you could do it in fucking 5 minutes. Like imagine, like, it, uh, as a person that still wants to get married, like I still kind of like want to get married and still believe in marriage and all that other stuff. I think it was good to live to look at. I feel like people like me, they're still looking for love or they found someone in love and it's just like you want to take that extra step and this is someone who I want to be with the rest of my life. You know, do you have all your ducks in a row? Do you um even if it doesn't go, it's like how would you like plan to, reconcile that? Like if it does divorce, like what are you gonna do to reconcile that? It's just like I know most people don't really want to hear about the divorce, but at least you could say you have a plan just in case it happens, like Batman prep time. So it's a lot of that I think you can learn from. So good video. Good video. What was the YouTube channel? Soft White Underbelly. Yeah. Yeah. When I saw this video, I was like, I definitely did because I was like on my way to work, and this is when I was in Baltimore. I was on my way to work, and I just randomly stumbled on this video, and I was about to change it, and then like you said, this dude was spitting. And I was like, oh shit! Just stop. It was like I need to listen to more of this, and then I was like, I need to react to this. So I know Material Life is not here right now, but I'm pretty sure she liked what she heard too. So, but I'm not gonna put words in her mouth. But it was it was good for a back and forth talk or what we was doing. So, any last words you want to say before we shut this down, Fada?
Nah, I'm good. He said everything that needed to be said. be serious about marriage.
Wise words. All right. I would like to thank everybody for joining us. I would like to thank Father for jumping in. I would like to thank Material Life. You know, she probably done fell asleep, which is cool. It's like it's midnight anyway. But
On a Tuesday.
yeah, on a Tuesday. And I'd like to thank everybody for listening to hear us talk our shit again. So this is the after party, and we are signing out. Peace.